Hi, this is Mr. Roche. We are here in 123D Circuits, and I wanted to follow up with what we did in class and start using things like sensors in our work. Okay, and one of the things we looked at, uh, and one of the things we looked at were sonar sensors. And let's look at these real quick. Um, there are there are different types of sonar sensors. There's a whole bunch of them, actually. Like this is actually one that we use for FIRST Robotics, and there's like, special code for it and stuff like that. These are fairly common too, these guys here. And the one thing you should notice is that one has one, two, three, four pins, and then there's one like here, which is like a parallax version. There's a company called Parallax that has like one, two, three. And here's another one that has like four. And basically what they do is they detect objects using like a little sound, okay? So generally, like with the 4 one, there's a trigger pin that sends out a sound. It bounces off the object, and then there's a kind of a receiving pin that like listens for the echo, and it will determine how much time it took to get the response, and from that it sends out like a computation. It sends out um, a kind of like a voltage that says, oh, well, this thing's that far away. So the difference between like the 3 pin and the 4 pin one, which is what we're faced with right now, is that they use on the 3 pin one, they use the signal to be both the trigger, like you can trigger it and you can receive stuff with it. So it has to be both input and output, like on the Arduino. So that's actually sort of a challenge with the ping one, but that's what they have on 123D circuits. We actually have these ones at school, and so you can use them, but you have to rewrite the code a little bit differently. So anyway, with 123D circuits, let's get this hooked up, and I want you guys to kind of get a simulation of this. Some of you guys tried this in reality. But I want to get everybody to do this. Okay, so let's get that going. Okay. So I'm back on 123D circuits, and I'm going to do like a new electronics lab here. Okay, and I'm going to name it right away and call it like Sonar Sonic Awesomeness. Awesomeness. Okay. So and then we're going to go back here and get in there. And we're going to set up some components. So I'm going to edit it. And then I'm going to look for some components. So we don't need so many components today. We just need to get a couple of things that are important. First thing we're going to need is an Arduino. So we're going to pull that out. It'll let us do that. Okay. I don't want the big breadboard. So I'm going to exchange it for a tiny one. I'm going to pull this up. Okay. And then I'm going to go to the breadboard here and hit the trash. Get rid of it. Okay, so I got those two things. And then what I need right now is the sensor. Okay, I must have missed it. Okay, looking for it. No, it's here. Huh? Oh, here it is. Here. Okay, so it's the ultrasonic distance sensor. I'm gonna pull that out. There it is. Okay, great. And then what I want to do is just kind of rearrange things a little bit. I don't know. How's a good way to put this? Let's try it like this down here. I'm going to, the thing needs digital pins, so I'm going to wire it that way. Let's see. And I want to use the board because we're going to kind of eventually hook it up. You actually don't need the board, but we're eventually going to hook it up to, you know, lights and things like that. So, so I do want to use the breadboard here. I'm going to actually rotate it this way. I don't know if this is smart or not, but I'm going to do it. Pull it down here. And so then what I need to do is get some wiring to it. Okay, so that looks pretty good. And one of the things that it needs is it needs a ground wire. Okay, so okay, I'm just kind of figuring this out. So I could go over here, maybe wire it to the ground. Okay, it looks okay. I'm gonna make the ground wire turn black. Okay, that looks fine. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this wire out here and get a wire to the ground. Now watch this. This is actually pretty cool. I can go like this, and if I click, it'll let me bend the wire. And I click again, and it'll go straight. And here I'm going to go bend it. And there. So now I got this connection to ground, and that's going to be black. Okay, so that's pretty good. Now I need a connection to 5 volts. It needs like power. So on the Arduino board, there are places where you can just get power. Like there's one for 3.3 volts, there's one for 5 volts. Okay, and you know, Arduino takes in power up here and basically converts it to 5 volts. And like this is a voltage converter. No, this is like part of the voltage converter here. But what it does is it kind of steps things down. So you can actually put a 9-volt battery in here, and it actually comes out 5, and then there's like further stuff that you can get 3, I guess, on the chip. So anyway, we need some power. So this thing needs 5 volts. It says so here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a line to it. So I'm going to go like this. Okay, I don't like to cross things over, but I have to here. I'm going to go click, get it to come up. And then what I want it to do is get to 5 volts here. Except I didn't do it quite right, but that's okay. And I'm going to make that red because that's my power. Okay, then what I need is, the final thing I need to do is get to signal. Okay, so I'm going to like put it, my plan here is to use a bunch of lights later on here. But for right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the signal, okay, and I'm going to have this just get connected here. Okay, so I'm going to come out of here, I'm going to turn, and I'm going to come straight up here to 5 volts. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so that's the basic wiring of this. So if the Arduino is on and there's code in it, basically what it's going to do is it's going to tell you that how far you are away from these, you know, these ping sensors here. So what we got to do though is code it. So we're going to make a little bit of code, and I'm going to get you started with that. Hi, we're back, and we're going to get this to kind of run. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the code editor on Arduino. And we'll do that. Okay, and this has some like basic code, but there's actually an example online that you can use, and actually we did this in class, and I'm going to kind of abridge that. But basically what's going on here is that there is a you know, a pin and variable definition section. Okay, and then there's, I'm going to kind of clean this out. This is like their example one. Not going to use a lot of this stuff in here. So basically I'm going to kind of clean this out. Okay, and what's going to happen is we're basically going to do some pin and variable like definition stuff. We're going to do some setup, and then we're going to write this like loop. In addition, okay, we are going to add function like that will handle like the pinging of the sonar, and that's going to be called ping. Okay, called ping. Okay, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay, so for variable initialization, this is a little bit different. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to come up with like an integer for our sonic signal pin. Okay, and that is because I wired it, it's going to be pin 5. Okay, so you can see that the thing's set on pin 5 right here, and so that's pin 5. Okay, now there's a couple of things that I have to do, and they're a little bit new and different, but one, I have to set up an echo variable, and I have to set up a an ultrasonic, like the signal back from the sonar sensor. So I have to go like this. Okay, so a long integer is just one where they give you like a lot of bits, so it can be a very big number, is what we're saying. Okay, and it's going to initially set it to 0, and unsigned music can't be like negative, I guess. We'll do that. Okay. And it'll initially be set to 0. So what you're doing is you're doing these two strange kind of integer variables, and we have this one that's just an int, which is like just our pin. Okay. Now, a couple things in the setup we have to do is we're going to use this thing called serial interface. Okay, on the Arduino. The Arduino could kind of talk to the computer if you hook it up to the like with a cable, like a USB cable. So and what it does is it uses like pin 1 and pin 2 for transmit and receive, and we actually want that. We want to get a hold of it. We want to look at the values. That's what we're trying to do. So we're going to set that up. Now, the way you set that up is you say serial, because that's serial communication, transmit and receive down there. You say begin dot begin, and then you're going to give this number, and we're going to use 9600 as this is a baud mode. This is how fast transmit and receive send you know, kind of information to each other. Okay, so the laptop and the Arduino. So this sets up like serial communication between the laptop and the Arduino. Okay. Okay, that's what that does. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do one of those pin modes, because we got to get this sonic pin mode to like kind of be set up for something in the beginning. Okay, and actually this one gets set up to be both input and output, right? But initially they're going to trigger it. They're going to trigger the sensor. So so it's going to be output. Okay, so you say pin mode. Whoopee. Pin mode, and then we'll say sonic signal pin, and we'll set it for output. Okay, so that's really good. And then I don't have so much time in the video, so I might have to make a second video here, but we're going to get these two set up, and that's what they're doing. So get this set up so we're like great right now, and then we'll do the loop, which I have here, and the ping routine. Okay, great.